I will.
Okay. I didn't know if you were involved in the Alliance for Public Education.
Good evening.
Congratulations, by the way.
Appreciate that you're here to listen to us, and I hope that you can hear what we're saying, because we've said it before, and we haven't been heard. So hopefully this time will be different. I just spent the weekend with my two grandchildren, both brilliant and creative and curious, of course, and as different from each other as they could be. They're passionately interested in many things. They move through the world at their own unique and at times maddening rhythms. And they love to spend their time in very different ways. There is no one curriculum or assessment that would do them both justice. And I would wager that any of you who have more than one child or who have siblings would find the same to be true. There's no such thing as a standardized child, and trying to have our children conform to someone's model of who they should be is not serving. That's the first thing. Take a moment to think of the teacher or mentor who most inspired you, who caused you to become a stronger, deeper, more passionate and successful learner. My guess is that it was not someone getting you ready to take a standardized test or to learn through a scripted reading program. Of course, children need to learn basic reading, writing, and math skills, but they must learn them in order to do something that matters. There is nothing that matters in the Common Core. It's simply the next step in the manual or module, or that which will get us ready to take that all-important test. That's not education, it's a forced march. We're losing control of decision-making about our schools and education. These decisions are increasingly being made by bureaucrats in Albany, in Washington, D.C., or by businessmen and women at Pearson. By people who don't know us, don't know our communities, and don't know our children, and don't care to know them as anything more than data points. That's not a recipe for quality education either. What is the purpose of education? Well, the bumper sticker says to get kids college and career ready, but when we asked the officials at New York State what they meant, they couldn't define them. Which career? Many of the current careers did not exist 10 or 15 years ago. What will our children find by way of work 15 or 20 years from now? Will it involve bubbling in circles? The American Educational Research Association warns specifically against using any one instrument to make high-stakes decisions, but that's exactly what's being done here. This is bad assessment practice endorsed by no expert in research unless they're paid by companies such as Pearson. We're not against assessment. You can't teach without it, and teachers assess all the time. But it should be assessment that serves teaching and learning. Significant research by Dr. David Berliner, to name one of many, made clear that much of school performance is determined by out-of-school factors. Children living in poverty, experiencing constant stress, health challenges, food insecurity, etc., tend to score worse on tests than do students who come to school well-rested, well-fed, and well-supported. Tests are measuring zip codes, family wealth, and stability, not what is happening inside the schoolhouse. I received my teaching certificate in 1981 in a world very different than the one we live in today. How would a lockstep curriculum and fill in the bubbles testing have prepared me to deal with a world I could not have imagined back then? What will our children encounter during their lifetimes? You can be sure that it will be beyond whatever we can imagine today. What will they really need to meet the unknown? They will need to think critically, to problem solve, to work with others, to adapt and adjust, to have the confidence to meet new learning challenges, to pursue their questions and concerns, and to have the confidence and desire to act in order to make things better for themselves, their families, their communities, and their country. Bubble sheets and prefab modules will not prepare them to live their lives forward. Let's make sure they have an education that prepares them for the world they're moving into, one that brings them the tools they need and the joy that will sustain them as they make their way. Thank you.